at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, a very, very busy day yesterday in the world of fishing, and I have something in my grubby little hands right here that we're going to talk about.
Is this the thing that you said it has never happened before?
I don't think it's ever happened before.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yesterday was a Monday.
Yeah,
There
and
was
something
no
happened
tournament
yesterday
going on. There were no announcements.
Oh, yes, there were.
There were?
Oh, yeah.
What? Oh my gosh.
Jeez, man, where you been, under a rock?
Well, we kind of knew, had an idea.
We'll talk about it in a minute, but a great show today. Yes, we have Carl Jocumsen lined up.
Headed back. He's in Kansas right now.
Yeah.
Driving back to get married. Stopped by the Bassmaster Studios in Little Rock yesterday to film Winning Ways.
Yeah.
On Cloud 9.
Yeah. So we're going to have him on here in about 15 minutes live via Skype and talk about some other stuff too, Matthew. I know a lot of people are anxious to hear what I kind of wrapped up the show with yesterday. It's not a rant. It's not a rant at all. It's just, I'm just fed up with all this unknown. All right, now hear me out on this. I'm going to get into it, and then we're going to talk about this thing in my grubby little hands right here.
Why do you keep referring to your hands as grubby and little?
I don't know.
They're not grubby and they're very large. You're like 6'5". You have enormous hands.
I know. Anyway, so, over the weekend, I thought a lot about this situation that's taking place with the speculation of Major League Fishing going to buy, going to purchase, going to merge, whatever term you want to use, with FLW.
Right.
All right. And it's a big unknown. We've had Duckett on the show. Duckett has said, yes, we are pursuing our interest in trying to buy FLW.
He said it's on the table still.
It's on the table still. All right. And now you have this madness that is taking place with the Jacobs family, with all the infighting, and this latest story that came out on, I believe, let me pull it up real quick. I believe it was the Star Tribune. Yes. About... Is
that out of Minneapolis?
Yeah. About all kinds of other stuff going on. And then there was actually a conference call on late Friday afternoon with the judge and the principals involved in this whole trust thing. Nothing's gotten solved.
Just put this into perspective. Irwin and his wife passed away, 3 months ago? 4 months ago?
Something like that. Yeah.
There were already some rumors that MLF had some interest in FLW, and then Irwin dies, and then basically what has happened is his kids aren't getting along with how to split up the
trust,
the empire.
Yeah. And
that's possibly we're hypothesizing that might have something to do with kind of the
delay,
unknown, that there hasn't been any clarity in the whole FLW situation.
And you said a key word there, Matthew: clarity. Look, all I'm asking, both from Major League Fishing and FLW, is just come out with an official statement saying, look, here is where we're at. This is what we're trying to do, because lives are being affected by this unknown.
I know.
You agree with that?
Yeah, Sheldon Collins had a post out on Facebook that had a bunch of other FLW Tour pros that were chiming in, and they weren't bashing anybody. They simply were like, we just want to know what the heck's going on. Now, I think here's the issue. Do you think there's anybody who actually knows what's going on? Or is this a fluid situation where it's changing on a daily or weekly basis to where there's even the decision makers are kind of up in limbo as to what the heck's going on?
This is my premise. Somebody knows what the status of the situation is. They may not know what the result is going to be, but do you agree that somebody out there knows what the status is, at least?
I don't think it's as clear as this. I think there's a lot of stuff.
I'm not saying they know what's going to happen. What I'm saying is they know what the status of the situation is.
Each party knows what they would like to happen. I think that there is a game plan.
Then let people know.
But does that maybe not affect everything because they don't know what's going to happen with what's going on with these legal proceedings?
Do you think that a number, whatever that number is, I don't know what it is, whatever that purchase number is, has already been negotiated to whatever number it is? Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't have any.
That number has to be agreed to.
It's eventually at some point, yeah.
No, I'm talking right now.
Heck, it could have been agreed. It could have been agreed to 6 months ago.
And you don't know that. You have this madness that is taking place with this trust and will with Irwin. We don't even know if those entities were part of his trust.
Maybe part of the reason is they haven't agreed on a number. You don't know. Like I said, there's so much stuff.
Then why can't at least Major League Fishing and FLW come out with a joint statement or separate statements and say, look, folks, here's where we're at?
Because here's the deal. I was talking to an FLW tour guy yesterday, and I said, you start thinking about this and you do this timeline out from Irwin to the MLF to the rumors and everything. You're like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that has had to happen in a particular order under a particular time frame to put it in this fiasco. This stuff happens out of order or there's elements that aren't there, and I think it's a lot more cut and dry than it is, but it's one of those situations where you have complication stacked on complication stacked on complication, and there's a lot of people that aren't in the know in order to be able to put out something. I think they would love it. I mean, does it not make sense for every organization involved to have as much clarity here? So you have,
That's what I'm asking.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. If it was available, if they knew, if they were able to do that, either side, FLW, MLF, you would think that they would do that if that was in their capabilities right now to where they could put out a press release that laid out some facts. But I think that there's a lot of muddy water in between those facts to where neither of them can do that confidently now.
That's fine.
Do you not agree with that?
Let us know what that muddy water is.
What do you want them to come out with a statement that says, hey, something may or may not be going down, but there's a lot of complications?
That is not. If we ever received or has a statement been made by FLW that yes, we are in negotiations with Major League Fishing. Have you ever seen acknowledgement of that statement?
From FLW?
Yes.
No.
What is wrong with at least coming out and go, look, here's what we're trying to do. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that is up in the air. We want to try and communicate. There are hundreds of thousands of people out there that this decision and this transaction, if it happens, is going to affect their lives.
Listen, I've had conversations about this. I don't fully understand it. I feel a heck of a lot more comfortable talking about the fishing aspect side of it instead of speculating on the business side. I'll leave that to you guys who have been in the business world for 25 years. It affects me right now. I mean, I'm 14th in the points heading into the final Costa of a division in 2 weeks, with a possible championship coming up with possible FLW implications.
You may qualify for the FLW Tour if you perform well. If you get to the point and things happen. Are you not concerned about this situation?
You know what? It's been, if you let it bother you, I think it would affect me on the water.
I'm not saying that. I'm not asking you if it's bothering you.
At this point, after everything that's gone down over the past year and 3 weeks, Mark, I'm like, wow, this is a crazy time to be in the middle of this on a media side, on an angler side. Let's just ride it out and see what happens, because the more you worry about it, the more you try to get information behind the scenes. It doesn't matter until something is actually done on it. I feel bad for the FLW Tour guys who have a place to fish next year that, right now everything's going on. I mean, it's there. It's still happening. You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel bad for those guys. Yes, because I haven't heard anything to the different. The schedule's out. The venues are there. The tour's going to start in January.
That's what I'm saying.
So you got to prepare for it like that.
So why not come out with a statement and say, folks, we know there is a lot of speculation, a lot of discussion, a lot of rumors out there. This is our plan. This is what we're sticking with.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they know what the clear-cut plan is right now. I don't think they know exactly what's going to happen. I don't think there's a clear path and know exactly what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. It makes perfect sense for both sides to come out with it when they know. I don't think anyone's trying to be sneaky or do anything behind the back or know what's going on.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know, but
what is wrong with status updates?
Because I think it's an unknown status, Mark.
Dude, maybe this thing isn't even taking place.
That's what I'm saying.
All we know is what Boyd has said on this show. That's all we know. Because FLW has not come out with any kind of statement or any information on this supposedly in the works transaction that may or may not happen. In the meantime, you have a pretty large group of people that are on pins and needles trying to determine, okay, what's going to happen?
I've gotten to the point where it's exhausting to try to think about it and to just take it at face value for the information that's out there that is 100% valid, concrete information. Take that on a day-to-day basis and quit trying to speculate, hypothesize, read into things.
We have not done that on this show. We have not speculated or contributed to the rumors or anything like that. Most of the stuff that we have discussed about this situation has been factual information. Mm-hmm. I'm just a firm believer in communication because this affects people's lives.
And I will say, who was the clearest communicator, and Rick B in North Carolina points this out. He says, in regards to FLW, they've always kept things close, but who did we give massive props to as being the clearest communicator out of the three organizations when the split happened? FLW.
Yeah.
For their precise, factual press release coming out saying, this is what we're doing next year. Good luck to the other two organizations. Nothing changing here. This is it. A, B, C, D, E. Here we go.
But this is a unique situation, though, Matthew.
100%.
Very, very unique. And, do I have skin in the game? Yeah, kind of. Just from a coverage standpoint. Mm-hmm. But do I have the skin in the game that the guys that are trying to prepare? I mean, what's happening right now in the industry? A lot of companies are getting ready to finalize their budgets.
What stickers go on what boats and jerseys and hats. And
And there's so much unknown out there that I feel really, really bad for a lot of those guys out there.
The supplementation company's going to make a lot of money here because guys are going to be having to make 2, 3, 4 jerseys. Different logos, different organizations. Who knows?
I don't know.
I think the conversation that we just had over the past 8 minutes has taken place thousands of times between hundreds of anglers.
Probably. Just want info, man.
And
they just want to,
as we wrap it up,
status update.
Try to put a bow on this. We're exactly where we started, which
we don't know. We don't know. But somebody knows. I'm telling you. There's people that know. All right. Next subject real quick. Did you remember what I was talking about now?
It's like a bowl of spaghetti. Oh, yeah. Okay.
But do you understand my premise before we move on?
I really could not imagine a time a year ago where the story that you're about to talk about would not be the lead breaking story that would be, for those in the industry that follow it, would be like...
It's pretty big news.
Massive, earth-shattering.
But you and I have discussed this situation
more business
times.
Stuff.
Yeah. Because of the fact that, in case you did not hear, the GOAT is now with Luz.
KVD.
And his longtime relationship with Quantum and Zebco Brands has come to an end. And it's just going to be weird seeing him throw stuff other than Quantum. I mean, how many times back in the Elite Series days, Matthew, did we see him dominate with his signature cranking rods and his reels?
Oh, have them now for Luz. This is what he posted. Obviously, Luz came out with a press release too, but Kevin, 14 hours ago, posted, "I'm very appreciative for all years that I was part of Quantum. I made a lot of memories and great friends over that time. this next chapter in my career with the team at Lew's Fishing is something that I'm very excited about. It's the same people that I've worked with at Strike King Lure Company for many years, and we are like family. Lew's is a great brand with a lot of great products, and I look forward to the future with the whole team. Emoji sunglasses on, emoji fish on, fishing rod emoji fish. KVD with the triple emoji, full press release in bio. And if I'm not mistaken, Marco, is this interesting to you? Did the press release that came from Lew's not include a primary quote from Quantum?
Yes, that's what I was going to point out. See, it's highlighted right there.
Yeah, that was like, I don't ever remember that.
Hence, that's why I started the show off by making that comment. Now, I've seen it done in other sports, in other industries, different things where they might get a blurb from, the chief marketing officer or somebody like that. But to have a full paragraph statement from Steve Smits, who is the president and COO of Zebco Brands, was somewhat unique in my opinion. I cannot recall ever seeing a press release where somebody diverts from another company or makes a switch and they have a really, really nice comment and quote from a management officer of the company of which say? That angler's leaving. Yeah.
Your eyes good enough?
I'm going to try. And this is a quote from Steve Smits, president and COO of Zebco Brands. And I quote, "Fishing our gear, Kevin became the most decorated angler of all time, and we have really enjoyed our mutually beneficial relationship. Kevin has been a great partner and friend, and we thank him for his professionalism all these many years. We wish him the best as he moves on in his new relationship with Lew's." That's it.
Classy.
Yeah.
Very
Give
classy.
it up to him for doing that. I mean, he is, man. He's the greatest guy, greatest angler of all time.
I mean, it's almost like when, what? Was Favre going to the Packers or Favre going to the Vikings from the Pack? It's like one of those things. Now, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's a dude using a different rod and reel. Let's blow this up. But, I mean, that's what hit KVD and Quantum synonymous with each other. The initials, KVD man. Cranking stick. But now think about the union that they have with the Lew's and the Strike King.
Oh, by the same company.
Yeah.
The same.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
VC
it's an empire over there led by the initials. So what happens to all the Quantum stuff now? I mean, you can't hardly find a Quantum thing that doesn't have the KVD brand on it.
I don't know. I'm sure he gets royalties through the end of the year, but who knows? I got to sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I thought about one thing, Matthew, from the business side of it. What does this do to Quantum now? Seriously. Does it open up more money? Do they take a strategy
I don't know.
to sign some of the young guys? Do they get out of the whole tournament thing and focus on the 33 business? What's going to happen?
Well, it seems, and I might be off base on this, but it just seems from my perception of Quantum and the way they've done it, they focused really hard on the 33 the last couple years and budget-friendly tackle, that $100 price point on the rods and reels, right? I mean, I haven't seen a $300, $400, $500 reel, $300, $400 rod come out from Quantum. I think was the last one the Smoke series, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people are saying they were shocked to see Kevin leave. I think, and you comment on this. I mean, we have no idea, but I think it was the alignment with Lew's and Strike King being the same company. And I'm sure there was a very good reason, because the one thing that Kevin has showed throughout his entire career, and I give it up to him for this, is brand loyalty. Mm-hmm. The dude
100%.
had enormous brand loyalty to the companies and probably could have taken a trip out the door anytime he wanted to, but the brand loyalty that Kevin showed toward the companies that were involved with his entire career was amazing.
You look at the photos where he's wearing the tan vest And the hi-hat with the little rope that goes around between the bill and the hat, and it's a lot of the same companies that he still fishes with.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense if you can get it. I mean, if you're owned by the same company, so if you're going to promote Kevin then and you're Strike King or lose, so then every time you show Kevin with the bait, now you've got a competitor's rod and reel in it. So if you could somehow make that play to get it, you're killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Because now, you know, when he's gripping and grinning with the 1.5 that's his signature series, now he's holding his signature series rod and reel, and now it's a perfect marriage.
You know what I have in the office back there, don't you? You remember the cranking rod?
The prototype.
The original prototype that he worked with to develop
the red one with the big thick blank on it.
Yeah. So what a memento to hang on to with that. All right, we're coming back with our special guest here on a Tuesday, Carl Jocumsen, getting it done on Lake Tenkiller. A very, very happy man.
Why do you always say it like that?
You got a problem with it?
I think it's Jocumsen.
Jocumsen.
Yeah, I know. You always say Jocumsen like you're like European or something.
Well, he's not European.
I think the J. I think you hear the J in his last name. I think it's Carl Jocumsen.
Okay, you want to intro him? You can intro him.
No, I just wondered why you always.
No, I like the way it sounds.
You like to pause and then you really hit the yah.
I like
it. Like deep from the throat.
Yeah. Good dude. All right, coming back. Everybody stay tuned.
You are serious about catching fish. That HDS is a dead giveaway. You've got the best fish finding sonar money can buy. Time to build the ultimate fish finding system with live sight sonar. See what your lure is doing in real time. Watch fish strike as it happens. See for yourself. Take the live sight sonar 30-day challenge. If live sight sonar doesn't help you find and catch more fish, send it back, no questions asked.
Gamakatsu, the G Finesse series.
In my opinion, the G Finesse series is the only lineup of hooks you need for any fishing you do.
But I know a lot of guys haven't used this hook yet. The G Finesse series has the nano coat on the hooks. The nano coating makes the hooks sharper, smoother for a better hookup ratio.
20% stronger than black nickel. Wow, that is incredible. That's a lot of strength.
My Gamakatsu G Finesse series, perfect finesse fishing for you.
Check out the G Finesse series of hooks by Gamakatsu.
Guys, Gerald Swindle, Sunline Pro Staff. If you're a flipper, a slackline hook setter, you're really putting a lot of impact into your hook set, look for the shooter. It comes off the smooth, really smooth. Like when you're flipping, it is smooth. If you're gonna be drop shotting and cranking, Sniper's the deal, man. It seems like it's a little bit less likely, like on a sharp hook set, it doesn't seem like it likes it as much. But for coming off the spool on spinning rod, leaders, cranking, like if I'm gonna throw a big plug at Gunnersville, I've still got strong tensile strength. It's not gonna give out on me, but yet the line's thin enough it'll get down. So to me, shooter takes a hook set, Sniper's for everything else. So if you're gonna slack line them, go shooter.
The name Spro says it all. Spro stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that Spro has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a Spro bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
Hey guys, Cliff Perch here with AFCO. I've got the new camo hooded reaper. It's going to be a great thing both for fishing and hunting this fall. I can tell you a couple of the features about it. Got the face mask like all the reapers do, vented in front. It's got the fleece on the inside, so it's really comfortable. It's super warm. When you come down to the pocket, it's got this little snap system called Block Tapey, and it's silent. You know, it doesn't make that sound that other snaps and other systems that hook it together make. Great for hunting, and it's going to keep that stuff in your pocket.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, getting ready for our special guest today. And you're not a homeowner, Matthew.
No.
Something happened.
I've noticed you are. You decided to take the home that you own and completely tear it up.
Well, and then the hot water heater went out, so we have no hot water. It just sucks,
You're kind of grumpy.
The hits just keep coming, man.
That's what happens. You had a perfectly good house, and I come over one day, and there's like 18 people in it, and I'm like, what the hell happened to the house? You're like, nothing. We're just taking a perfectly good house, and we're just going to make it perfectly gooder.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
our next guest.
Hot water. All right. We are ready. Wow. What a final day on a lake that we both really, really like a lot. Lake Tenkiller here in Oklahoma. And just an unbelievable final day on Lake Tenkiller, Matthew.
Yeah, Carl almost put 20 pounds in the boat, battled it out with Chris Alden. What's lost in all this is that Kyle Monty went into this thing leading it with the chance to win from Florida, throwing a biffle bug and a spinning rod on Lake Tenkiller with no grass. But when you don't catch him, you don't get talked about. Carl knows this. We talked about it before we came on. I kind of feel bad for Kyle in this because this could have been a crazy moment for him. I mean, he's busted his butt. The last time he caught him was also in Oklahoma on Grand Lake in the Elite Series last year.
All right.
But Carl came in.
Let's bring him in. Carl, you there, man?
Yep, I got his.
All right, let me get you queued up so everybody can look at the Skype feed. Man, how you doing?
I am doing about as good as you can imagine. Very happy, man.
I have to say this right off the bat, and I'm sure a lot of people have told you this, but out of all the live content that I've watched in professional fishing, that final day was some of the most epic, exciting, just I was glued. I had 3 things going on in the studio, and I was glued to watching you and what you did during that 45-minute span.
That's awesome. It was the most magical day that I've ever had for myself as well, and to have people watching it live and see the way it went down, and just that gap between that fourth fish and that fifth fish, and what was going through my mind and probably what everyone else was thinking. It was it was a day I'll never ever forget, that's for sure, and just so much emotion and build up and all the things that came with it. It was everything in one day, all came down to that single day.
They talked a little bit about it on live, but I mean, you had put yourself in position to win events before. Obviously, the Open Championship comes to mind. Gunnersville comes to mind, and you've been on live and you've seen to where you're like, this is the day, and if it happens, it happens, and it has never happened. Kind of talk me through when you first realized. I mean, I believe you said, hey, I got to put everything down. I'm going to pick this jig rod up and live with it. So you've seen those days before. It hasn't gone as planned. What did it feel like when you realized it's starting to go as planned?
Yeah. It was a strange feeling, I definitely never felt comfortable out there at all. Like there was like these times, like I'd have a little moment, like of feeling like, man, I'm doing well, this is going good, but it would just quickly get overshadowed with like, I've got to finish it now. Like this could be like, it could be even worse than like not catching them, because I've got the 4 fish to win to make it happen. Now I've got to actually close the whole deal off, and that last fish was like the hardest fish in the world to catch. And when it was starting to happen, I'm always positive, and when something happened, at every tournament, I always feel like I'm gonna win. I want to feel like that's how I practice. That's what I try and find. But there was something different about this one, to where I knew I was going to be doing something that was no one else was doing for some reason. The entire practice, like you'll generally see a big group of boats doing something, and majority of them, or half and half offshore, half in the bank. Everyone was on the bank the whole practice, and I just got these couple key bites, and in practice, and I came in, I said, and I would never say I think I can win. I'd be like, I think I can do well, or it was a tough practice, and I said to Kayla, I think I can win this tournament. And I just, all those things of like it being, 95 degrees, humid, no wind, sun, 3 days straight, no information, a quick change of location. No one's been there, no favorite. It's like, that is my dream scenario right there. I'm like, and the reporters and stuff, they all like laugh at me, because I'm like, after the first day when it was that tough, I'm like, I hope it gets tougher. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I want the conditions to stay the same. I don't want the wind to blow. I want the sun. I want it as tough as you can get it. And they're just like, you're crazy. That second day hurt me, because I knew that conditions got better for guys to be able to just go and catch them and fish the bank. And I was a bit disappointed I didn't make the right adjustments on that day just to put that 5th one in the boat. But when the conditions turned back and got right for me, and I got those first couple bites on day 3, I felt again, okay, I'm back in this, and I can win it.
Hey, you mentioned a little bit about your practice, and when did you make the decision that you were going to fish out? When did that decision come?
Yeah. So just stay here, babe.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with truck issues here. So if you got something that you need to get handled, have at it. I mean, you're multitasking here.
Just say that again. Sorry.
Oh, I said if you got to take care of some truck stuff, we'll just hang out. Feel free to. We know that you got a bunch of stuff on your plate here.
No, we're good. We're good now. We're good.
Okay, so what I asked you about, when did you make the decision to fish out? Was that during practice? Was that was it because so many people were fishing the bushes and the lake level was dropping? When did you make that call?
So day one, day one of practice, I fished, everything that I could, and I had like the best day practice. Like anything that I did, I caught them, and I had like a 17-pound day on day one of practice. And I caught like 2 big ones in the bushes, shook a few more off, came out, fished bluff walls, caught a couple big ones. I was just getting bit everywhere, but I was looking at the conditions, and I was trying to make decisions knowing what it was going to be like in 4 days. And I knew that water was dropping. The bushes just had enough water on it, but there were so many fish in there, and it looked so good. It drew everybody in there, and you could actually get bites. It was hard to get bites anywhere else, but I got on a 1/2-ounce jig deal on bluff walls, straight bluffs, main lake channel stuff, which is kind of my jam. Like that's my deal. Like any lake I go to, if I'm struggling, I go to bluff walls with a jig, and it's my confidence thing. I can get some bites, and I was getting good ones, so I was excited. And the end of day 2 of practice, I work with Gussie, and Gussie's just an absolute champion, and he tells me everything, I tell him everything, and it's worked really well this year. And he's just amazing at that offshore stuff, and he spent like the first day and a half offshore and just didn't have much luck. He just wasn't catching them, and he went to the bluff wall style stuff and started getting bit, caught some good smallmouth, and he was starting to dial that back in. Well, I slid out offshore, but, I thought it was going down everywhere, but it was so little and isolated, and all these little things had to line up. And it took me days and days to start to dial it in. But I got 2 bites on 2 different areas offshore on day 2. And then day 3, I said, I'm going to go out and try and see what this is about. And I got a couple more bites on 2 more areas. So they all looked identical. It was basically like fishing a bluff wall, but offshore. So it was a sheer drop bluff wall, channel swing outside the mouth of a creek, 22 feet on top that led to like a point. And then if it would be always rocky, so that was key. But if it had any kind of wood or something brush on it, it was like it had to have all them 3. And if it had them, 4 really: creek mouth, bluff wall, fast drop, a point, and rock and brush, all in this little area. And it had to be like a 1 to 2 cast deal. It couldn't be like a big one where you had to really work the point. It was like, well, that's where they're going to be, right there on that point. And so I had that in my back pocket, but it wasn't my main deal. I wanted to catch them off bluff walls, and doing kind of the same thing. And so day 1, I did that in the morning, and I ran top water, and I ran, power fished in the morning trying to get those smallmouth. And my second cast, I lost a 3-pounder on top water. And I'm like, that's just how my year's been going. So I had to dig pretty deep because I knew how tough the bite was going to be. And then the bluff wall stuff just started not turning out. And in the end, I slid out offshore, and I started getting those bites. And what was weird was when I was getting to those areas, they were eating the jig like on the fall. And I was just like, I couldn't figure out what to do. Like I wasn't utilizing my time, because they would eat it on the fall, and then I would crawl it for, crawling a jig might take a minute or 2 to get back. And if you don't get bit, you've just wasted a bunch of time if they only wanted on the drop. And so I was like trying to figure out what was going on, because every time I got a bite, I'd just be picking up and a fish would be on there. And I had a feeling I was like intercepting like schooled fish, because they were schooling all the time on those areas. So I thought those bigger ones were sitting under the bait fish and just eating the jig while it would fall past them. So I couldn't get a grip on it. I'm like, I hope I didn't just get lucky, because I only got 6 bites, and I had like 13-10 sitting in, 3rd, I think, on day 1. And that's when so day 1 was when it all started to sort of transpire.
What was, and a lot of people on the instant feedback want to know this also, what was so special about the jig that you were using?
So I used 2, but the Molex jig with the football head, it has like a very like unique shape, and it's called an MF finesse jig, and they brought it out like a couple years ago, and I started using it, and in rip wrap where I use that football jig like at Gunnersville, you'd see I get stuck all the time. It wedges, and then it's something I learned in Australia. You grab the line and like slingshot it, and it would shoot that jig out, and sometimes you'd get bit doing that, but it would actually shoot it backwards. And if you go back and watch Gunnersville, 90% of my bites is I've got the line like this and I shoot it, and the cameraman thinks I'm stuck, and he sort of puts the camera down, and then when I pick it back up, a fish has got it because it's shot backwards. And so it sucks that jig, you get bites doing it, but you lose a lot of jigs. Well, that finesse jig with this heart-shaped head, it just comes through that rip wrap like nothing. It never gets stuck. And I use it on cypress knees that just wedge, everything comes through it. I had a top 20 at Douglas Lake last year for the Open. I fished these rip wrap things, and everyone was getting stuck. I'm just working the jig through the whole time. So Brandon and Mollix actually designed a big jig with that head design, and it's not even out yet. And I just got 5 of this perfect color, brown. This one of my favorites, like green pumpkin bottom, brown top. It's got the perfect head, big hook, perfect guard, but I only had 5 of them. And I was getting bit on that, and then I was getting bit on my standard football head that I've always used. Fish, like I actually would have caught a lot more, because you saw on that last day, like caught that 5-pounder towards the end, and the ones I caught on the first day, the jig was coming through everything a lot better. And I just talked to Matt, like I lost about 30 jigs.
We estimated 22.5 ounces of football jigs that he lost.
I put a little bit of structure down there, but what is so special about the jig is the head shape. It's just the way it's designed. It's wide at the front and skinny at the back, and it just doesn't get wedged. It doesn't get stuck, and the eye is inserted sort of inside the head. So I was losing majority of those jigs because the eye was protruded out of the head, and it just actually digs into the wood or the rock and gets stuck.
All right, you don't have one of those jigs sitting there in the console, do you?
I don't, but I can. It'll take me 2 seconds to go and grab one. It's just in the boat.
A lot of people want to see it.
Yeah, I'll grab one whenever you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, right now.
I'll go and grab it. It won't take 2 seconds.
Obviously, they're not driving right.
We'll just interview Rue, the bass dog, right there.
Pretty excited dog.
Yeah. What I want to ask him when he gets back is, how did he know he'd won? Because he said, this is the winning fish. But you know everything he's been through. You got Zaldane behind you. You weren't in the lead going into the final day, but there was some intuition in there that let him know.
I think he probably thought that he had close to 20 and nobody was going to come close to that. All right, he's back. Here you go, Jim in Indiana. There's the jig right there.
So, see, it's like a heart shape. It's like wide at the top and then skinny down the bottom, and that line tie is kind of down inside. It's not as much protruded, so it protects the line, and it just comes through, and it's just got a good big hook and a nice big weed guard, and it's a big silicone skirt, so it flares. It's big and it's bulky, so it gets big bites, but that's pretty much what makes it special right there.
Mollix is out of Italy, right?
Yeah.
They throw a lot of football jigs in Italy, or is this like all stuff? You said this is all stuff that's designed by the American pros.
Yeah, pretty much by the American. Like Mollix has done super cool. Like they've put Justin Lucas, Brandon, Ike, and James Elam and myself on the team, and I've got my frog with them, the Supernado frog, and it became their #1 selling lure this year. And they just are so cool about just designing stuff. Their designers are unbelievable. Like we just go back and forward and get the initial, the first product just done so quickly, and they build them just exactly how you want it. So it's pretty cool. I've been really enjoying being with Mollix because it's a lot of fun, just giving them ideas and working with them on new stuff. And this is going to be a signature jig of Brandon's.
When you went and got that jig, I wanted to ask you real quick. One of the things you kept saying, you caught the fifth one. You said this is the winning fish. I mean, you could tell you genuinely knew you thought you had won. What was it that allowed you to think that and not be like, oh, maybe Chris has 20, maybe Kyle Monty has 18? Was it? I mean, could you tell, were there groups of photographers and people that were flocking to you as the day progressed?
No, I never felt easy at all. Like, the only time I did was like that initial little 5-minute burst. But when I gathered myself, just the bad thoughts came instantly in my head. Like, oh, Kyle only needs to catch 16 and he beats me. So you see me, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even want to make another cast. Because I wasn't sure I could catch a bigger one. I'm like, what more have I got to do? And then I was like, well, no, I've got to fish as hard as I possibly can, because if someone beats me, then I can't, I can say I did everything I did everything I could. But I definitely, with 4, I had not, I was not easy at all. I knew that I could be beaten very easily. I knew I had the winning fish in there. I just needed to finish it off. And then, for about 5 minutes, I felt amazing and thought I'd won it. And then just started thinking okay, if they're biting like this, Chris could have them. And most of all, I thought Kyle, he had, I think, 4 pounds 11 maybe lead on me. That's a big lead on that place. And his weights were going, he'd caught a couple good bags and then finished with a 16. If he had it dialed in and caught another 16, he beats me. So that's what kept me focused. It sort of it sucked at the same time. I had a different feeling in my mind. If you had a day like that, you would just be on cloud 9, and it was not that case. It was the most stressful day of my life.
Hey, real quick. Yeah. Hey, what were you going to say, Carl?
Especially that, but the 3 hours or whatever it was between that 4th fish and the 5th was the heaviest of my life, heaviest 3 hours.
And those 4 came in a 5-minute span?
No.
3.
I caught one. I caught a 3.5, and then moved areas. And then when I moved, I caught 3 in 7 minutes.
It was 30-40 minutes.
Yeah, but okay, so the 3 in 7 minutes. So I did it at 5 minutes. I just roughly put this together. So this is rough estimate. So you fish roughly 150 days with bass. This is just your professional career, and you fish 25 on FLW. You have roughly 170 days of professional tournament fishing. At 8 hours a day, you're working at 84,000 minutes on the water in your professional tournament fishing career. And think about 84,000 minutes for those 7 minutes. That's pretty wild on the how much you put into it just to get to a point where you have 7 minutes like that.
Yeah, we have just I felt like that smallmouth, hooking that 5th fish, that was, I feel like, 20 years of my life of thinking about nothing else and pursuing that exact moment for that exact bite. I think it was it would be a 20-year wait for that bite that I've gone through and gone after it with 110% of my effort in every aspect of my life. It's pretty crazy.
If Jeffries doesn't get bit in the first 10 minutes on a spook, he puts it on the trailer and goes home.
That's not true. Not true. All right, Scott in Virginia wants to know, what was the color of the jig again, and then what trailer were you using?
So it's this is the exact color. It's a green pumpkin top with sort of a brown underneath. It's just a good natural color. And then it was a straight green pumpkin rage craw. And when it was cloudy, I left it straight green pumpkin. And when the sun came out, I chartreuse the tips of the craw. Seemed to make a difference. And then and we'll talk about that. But I was putting a lot of scent on it as well. But that jig was perfect color for the clear water, and there was a lot of bluegill on the bank, and then there was obviously there was crawdads and stuff, and they just mistake it for a little bit of everything. But great hook and good keeper, and split silicon skirt with a normal skirt. It's going to be a pretty magical jig.
You like the scent, don't you?
I was gonna say, so I've covered The Elite Series, every single tournament since 2008, Jeffries has been in this game for 25 years. We have watched the very best in history. We've watched Davey Hite with the mop jig, Denny Brower flip it, KVD. I have never seen anybody in my life go through. Do you buy Bang scent by the case?
I went through 2 full bottles and a little tackle store with on the last night before final day. I called in there and they had a bottle, and it was like I won lottery when I saw it.
All right, explain it in detail. What was the scent? Why do you do that every 3 casts? We said it looks like the Exxon Valdez oil spill out there in Tenkiller. There's much you were putting on that jig.
Yes, not a lot of people think about it, but it's one of the major senses of bass and their feeding. And I think a lot of us just get lazy. You just don't want to do it. It takes up time and takes up a cast. And when it's tough like that and those fish are nosing in on something, it's not a total reaction. It's a massive, massive deal. And there's so many different types. The only reason I like the Bang spray is it's quick and it's easy, and it actually comes off the bait. Like, it doesn't last forever. It only lasts 5 to 10 casts, and that's what you want. You don't want it where it's stuck on there, and it's you don't want the goo type stuff, because it's going to stick the skirt together, make it look unnatural. It's a oil base, so you can imagine when that thing's down there and the oil's just slowly coming off it, that bass noses in and he gets a big waft of crawfish. It's taking another step to get them to not think it's not real. Like, you need to take every aspect out of it, and when they get that scent, they're not second guessing themselves when they're going to bite it. They're like, that's crawdad, I'm going to smoke it. And the reason, like, I always do it, and sometimes I don't do it in practice, and then I do it in the tournament to give me like another confidence level. Like, now it's even better, than what it was in practice. And what happened was, on day 1 and day 2, on the camera, if you watch on day 2, is when it really clicked for me. But I got 2 bites out of my 5 when the jig was just sitting there. I was adjusting my 360, and it was like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and I felt my line jump. And I got 2 like that, and then day 2 with EK with the camera on me, I threw the jig out on the good spot, and I'd already worked it, and I went down the point, I came back, and I fished it again, and I threw it out there, and I was sitting down, and I was adjusting my hummingbirds, and I was actually looking at the map for where I was going to go next, and my line jumped. And on top of that, I started to notice that when I would spray the jig, a bite would come between 1 or 2 casts after that. And so I kept it on there like as much as I could.
Roughly how many bottles of Bang do you go through in a season?
Not that many. It's actually pretty. It's pretty. It lasts a long time. But I went through 2 bottles at this tournament.
I've got a bottle in my boat. It's on the 3rd boat.
Yeah,
like it's transferred from the Skeeter to the Puma to the Lynx.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's something that the swim bait guys are onto it. Like, if you're fishing anything that a fish is going to follow, nose up to, look at for a second, you need scent on it. It's a no-brainer.
Hey, Carl, for those that don't know, a lot of people do know, you're in the process of getting married very soon. Are you going to have dual citizenship? Is that one of the things that you're working toward?
Yeah, that's what we're going to try for. It's not. A lot of people think, you get married, like now you're all good, you're set for America, but it's not like that. It's exactly the same process as what I've had to go through for my visa. It's pretty much a nightmare process that they put you through the ringer for, and it'll be 7 or 10 grand and attorneys and all the stuff to try and do it. But ideally, the ideal would be either a green card, or dual citizenship, where I could come back and forward, because I still earn money in Australia and go back there. So when I can. So it would be good to be able to earn money in both countries and be able to go back home at the end of the season and stuff.
Does the win help expedite that process at all? Like, is there anything like where you can be like this and they're like, oh, this guy's like, I don't know, a national I mean, I'm being dead serious here. Like, is there anything that the win might do that might help get that process smoother?
Yeah, for sure. It's all about proving that you're here, for the reason that you're saying. And when I'm saying I'm a professional angler, they're like, oh yeah, it sounds real. And you're like, no, I am for real. And, I've got in my visa applications, I've got magazine articles and documents of every magazine article I've ever been to, proving that this is what I do for a living, and Bassmaster write-ups, website, articles, everything to show this is what I'm doing. And so this win, with all the press and the content that came from it, it's 100% going to help. And I'm on a sporting visa, which is the best visa you can get. So that's like a golfer or any professional, the bowling guy, that's what he would have been on when he first came over. Yeah, Jason. And the thing with the sporting one is America wants those sporting visas over here, that you're not taking a job off an American. That's what they don't want. They don't want you coming over being like, I'm going to be a builder or something like that. A sportsman, they want it. It brings in money, and you're not taking a job off anyone. So it's transferring that visa into what I need is a little bit of an easier process than what it normally would be.
All right, a couple more questions, then we're going to let you go. You've been very vocal about how much expenses and just living-wise, how much this has costed you over the years that you've been over here, and you've had a number of people that have helped you out, both financially and logistically and everything else that's going on. But does this win's got to put you in a better position, both financially and with everything else that you have going on in your life?
Yeah, 100%. It's the biggest life-changing moment of my 35 years. It's 100% life-changing, and it is the money. Some of it is the money, because this sport is expensive. People don't realize it. They see what we're driving around in. It looks like the dream, but we were on struggle street still this year because we weren't catching them. We weren't getting checks, and you can't compete and drive and do what we do without getting checks. Even though we have great sponsors, it's just so expensive. And that pressure of that all the time, weighing on me, am I going to be able to do this for the rest of my life? Am I going to go broke and can't do it next year? Those things are all weighted on me all the time. They're the disappointments. It's not like I'm disappointed because I had a bad tournament. It's if I keep this up, I mightn't be able to do it next year, or I might have to go home or whatever. And just that, more than the money and more than anything, I think I've gone so many years trying to prove myself to everyone, telling everyone that this is what I'm going to do and I'm good enough and we're going to do this. And so many people, either one end or the other, supporting me or not. It was just when I caught that fish smallmouth, the weight of the world just lifted off me, and you'll never be able to take that moment, that trophy, that win off me. The money will come and go and whatever will happen, but that blue trophy and that win, I have it forever now, and there's the weight of that is gone, and I think that's the biggest thing that's ever happened to me.
Very cool.
Had you started doubting the process? I mean, if you follow you have a process from working out with the kettlebells, the diet, the running, the camping, the living, kind of the vagabond lifestyle. Had you started doubting that process?
100% this year. Right before this tournament, I spoke to Gene, I spoke to, my uncle and auntie that are very motivational for me in a lot of different ways, and just people that I spoke to people that I respect a lot and have a lot of good life views. And I was just so down, and I was the reason I was down was because I was saying to them, what do I have to do? What more do I have to do? And they would just be quiet. And in the past, when I'd have this in this situation, I'm like, it's because of like we're staying in hotels and this is not the deal, and I'm like going broke through this or not. I hate staying in the hotel, so I would work on that, and then we'd get the camera thing, and then I would be like, I'm not feeling good on the water, work on my fitness, feeling great. Then I got to work on all these techniques, and I get better at all these different techniques. I fish all these different lakes. I go to 1,000 islands more than anyone, spend weeks and weeks at a time, daylight till dark. My gear, my equipment, like everything I can possibly think of to work on in my life, in mental, physical, fishing, just wanting this sport to be legit, wanting to be the best. I put everything into every aspect, and then I have the work, like I'm having the worst year of my whole life. I'm like, it was so upsetting because I'm like, I didn't have another answer now. I'm like, I don't know what to do. What more am I possibly going to do? And it was super frustrating for me because I was like, maybe it felt like the year was never going to end. It was never going to happen. And then just the click of the fingers, and like literally, I can't think of a negative thought right now about anything. Like I can't remember any bad times. I can't remember how bad the year was, nothing. It was just like everything got erased in 1 second.
Wow. That's a great story. That's good stuff there. All right, man. Hey, I want to let you know, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I am trying to pull off maybe a miracle here and get you and Jason Belmonte set up after the video that I sent you where he wished you well.
That's awesome.
I'm in the process of trying to work something out, but getting his schedule and your schedule
like
set
bowling,
up.
fishing, dinner,
What?
what?
No, I thought it'd be cool maybe meet in Dallas. He's in Dallas quite a bit. He's also in Utah a lot, because that's where Storm's headquarters is, in Utah. So I'm working on that. I think it would be cool. Two champions, both from Australia, and be cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah, no, that would be cool. The Aussies, it's that we have that fighter mentality. The Australians are in every sport. We're always the underdog, but we're always like in it to the very end, and that's that little bit that I bring to this sport, is like I have that Aussie digger, never give up sort of spirit, and the people back there, they feel that, and they get along on this journey with me, and it's it's really cool to me, even special. I love the Aussies, but it's pretty cool for me to see the support from people from America, even my competitors. Like I've never seen so much positivity around it, and it made me realize that I'm doing the right thing, and when you have that many people happy for you and knowing that you got the win yourself and doing things the right way and properly, it's a pretty cool feeling.
All right, man. So happy for you. You rock. Big supporter of BTL, and you're welcome here anytime. But so happy for you and your fiance, and best of luck to you next year, Carl.
Thanks, guys. Like you guys, I still remember the first interview. You guys were the first ones to ever interview me. I was in the car park at Champlain, and you guys rang up, and I was fishing an open up there, and you were asking me what I was doing in America. So, pretty cool to be standing here today. Like that might be 8 years ago, and won my first elite event. It's pretty awesome. So I appreciate you guys supporting us, and look forward to being on it next time.
All right, very cool, man. Stay safe, and best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys. Catch up.
All right, there you have it, Carl Jocumsen. Wow, great interview, man.
I believe the first time that I ever spoke with Carl, you can go back and look at his story, how he went over, got a trip, got to fish the U.S. Open, met Fred Rambanis, then went back to California, came back, drove out to an Elite Series event, said he wanted to see an Elite Series event in Georgia before he went back to Australia. Fred said, "You're not leaving, you're staying here." And then he actually marshaled for like a whole year or two on the Elite Series. But I remember, I think it was at Wheeler Lake in Decatur, Alabama. It was like the second time, and he would like kind of practice with Fred. Like that was back, I think, when you could go out with him, but he couldn't fish. So he would like just go out and just ride with him, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, who? I didn't even know he's from Australia. I had no idea. I was like, who is this guy who like never talks and just is always sitting in Fred's boat? So I was like, I talked with Fred a lot back then, and he's like, yeah, he's this dude from like Australia. He's like really good. He saved my butt in the U.S. Open on a little 16th ounce blade bait. So then I started talking with him, and then, he stayed with Fred's house for a while, and we started hanging out. And then he would come and like, we fished a couple team tournaments, like a Skeeter on Eufaula and stuff. And I remember he like, the first time I fished with him, we're fishing rock, like just like square bill stuff.
We're at
Eufaula.
Okay.
And we're going down the bank in Porham, and I start throwing a square bill. We're in my boat, and all of a sudden I see this freaking 2.5 just go whoo, flying way past my head, like way. I look back, he's throwing it on a spinning rod with braid, all spinning rod stuff, and I'm like, dude, why are you throwing a square bill on a spinning rod? He's like, that's what we throw everything on in Australia. And just to watch his progression, but I think what he's missed is like, oh, they're supporting an Australian. That's cool. No, they're supporting someone who works hard, goes about it right, and has earned their respect. It has no bearing on where he's from. You see guys win occasionally, probably once every 2 or 3 years, that do it right. And even if he doesn't have guys coming up to him on the daily basis for the last 3 years going, oh, dude, you're working so hard, I'm so impressed. Like, those guys notice that, because you don't get to that level without understanding what it takes, and then he takes it to the whole next level. So that's a mutual respect. I was talking to Zaldane about Carl in the middle of the year, and he's like, dude, he tries too hard. Like, he cares too much about it. That's why he's not catching them. Remember, he had all those top 20 finishes. He's coming off some of the best years of his career. He almost won the Open Championship. He almost won the Coast and Northern Opens points. He had like 16 top 20s.
Yeah.
And 2 decent years on the FLW Tour. He comes back to the Elite Series, and Zaldane's like, man, he's too meticulous. He cares too much. He tries too hard. He works out too hard. He has everything too organized, to a point where, he cares too much, is what Zaldane was saying, to where, something happens and then something clicks and goes, oh my gosh, it's not going to happen this time. But I mean, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool to see him do that, and that, the hard work pays off. And like I said, 7 minutes out of over 84,000. That's a lot of work for a payoff for those 3 bites.
That's crazy. It's a great stat, though. Great stat. Hey, by the way, 20 years ago, this month, any idea who was on the cover of Bassmaster?
20 years ago this month would have been 1999.
Yeah.
Davey Height?
No, Bernie Schultz. I had a bunch of magazines, and I just happened to randomly
Yesterday's
pick one.
guest, great interview there with him. So big shout to Carl. So what the deal is, they're driving back. They got weddings. He's got thousands of it. Dude, the guy hopped on. He spent 45 minutes with us before they got there, went and got their truck worked at. They got 20 hours ahead. Big thanks to him for taking an hour out of his day.
All right, interesting show tomorrow. We're going to have Eric Lopez on, the Director of Operations for Bass, talk about this season and also kind of set up the season for 2020. Looking forward to that. He's been on the show before.
Yeah, he's been on
Good
the show
interview.
before. Remember last time he told us all the crazy stuff that happens behind the scenes at the Classic. Trucks running into stages, anglers not being there, backstages getting shut down for construction work. So we'll see if we can get anything out of him. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't have any good stories from the past year trying to
I'm sure
get
he
the
does.
last schedule together in this year's. But a lot of thought went into this schedule if you look at the destinations, the average weights, the fans, the crowds that are expected there. So also going on right now, mystery event in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The third.
They're at the pump back.
The third FLW, or third MLF Cup, which we'll get to see. This one will probably be the beginning of next year, I would imagine, if it's the third cup. But it'll be interesting because as we saw on Tenkiller, and we saw in the Nichols Championship on Grand, they're not exactly chewing with reckless abandon across the Sooner State.
It's tough right now. All right, great stuff. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure, once again, if you're listening on iTunes, rate us and leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us out a bunch. It really, really does, folks. All right, back tomorrow, same time. We're out of here.